Howdy, lieutenants and economists.
The most volatile, evil, disgusting things on the planet, humans. If you have a video request, you can always go to assholeconsulting.com.
Yeah, I am gonna charge you, kids. And that is the importance of not fucking up.
You are such an asshole!
Hey everybody, assholeconsulting.com. I have a very interesting question here. If you have interesting questions and the money to pay me for my time to answer them, you can go to assholeconsulting.com. Please read through the instructions and don't be a millennial fuck. I didn't know you're gonna charge me. Everything else has been free in my life. Alright. Young man writes, hi Aaron. How much would your opinion on U.S. militia organizations like the 3% United Patriots and the California State Militia in video form cost? It seems like you agree with a lot of their beliefs pertaining to where our country is going and why, but you disagree on what to do about it, correct? I know very little about them, but just saw them mentioned in an article. I want to know what you think of their overall ideologies and methods. Alright, well let's talk about the ideologies and methods and feasibility and all that, separate them out. I agree with them overall with their ideologies, and keep in mind, I'm not saying I agree with the 3% Patriots or the California State Militia. I'm saying in general, militias, no matter how spectacularly formed, no matter how pathetic, generally I agree with them politically. Yes, they want low taxes, limited government, freedom of the people, stuff like that. And then you start to cross over into kill all the Jews and white power, and then there's Nazi sign and people with really short haircuts. It's like, whoa, wait, whoa, hang on now. So that's, you know, but in general, they're for the Second Amendment. They know that the Second Amendment was written in there. They know the history of the United States, that sometimes the people have to arise against tyranny. And the most common place you're going to find tyranny is the government, historically speaking. So we're all generally on the same lily pad there when it comes to ideology. Methods. On paper, I absolutely love militias, and I think that would probably be about the only real thing that would save the United States in the long term. Because well, that's how we got rid of the Brits long ago. But I think the militia is an absolute, it should be like a regular thing. Like if you go over to Switzerland, everybody is part of the military, part of the reserves, and every man has a gun. And you were supposed to, and if you got to go protect the homeland. But they're a very small country. Here, I think we should have something the same thing. I think everybody should be, every man and every woman that wants to, but every young man capable of doing it should be part of a militia. You should go and get regular training in firearms. You should get training in tactics. You should get training in like basic training, not just weapons, but med kit, survival, living off the land, strategies, armed hand-to-hand combat. You should get training in everything, like a basic boot camp. And that way you'd have citizen soldiers. And then the country, the leftists, and other internal and external enemies might think twice about like having a country where 150 million men are armed and know how to fight. But that's in theory. That's on paper. In practice, it's not possible, and it's for two reasons. Let me explain. First, whether you like it or not, the country is majority left. I know Trump won, and because of the Electoral College and all that, that's how Republicans had this victory. But percentage-wise, the population is leftist. And if you look at younger people, i.e. the future, they're predominantly leftist. Even if you factor in some of them will turn to the right over time. You look at where the country's going, the will, you cannot violate the will of the people. If the will of the people wanted to elect Barack Obama and have free health care and free this and free that, it is you that becomes the tyrant forcing your ideology, your minority ideology, on the majority. All right? And no matter how much that may pain you or pain me, it's like, don't they fucking get it? It's freedom. This is what Western civilization fought for. You are now going to be the tyrant if all of a sudden you decide to start forcing your ideology through military force on these people. And so there's kind of this like, why would I join the militia to protect these people? I mean, really, look around. Do you really want to protect the future of the United States? I know everyone's like, oh, we got to defend it. You're thinking 1950s, 1940s. nuclear family, good old-fashioned America. That is not the case today, and it is certainly not going to be the case in the future. So I wrote the book, Enjoy the Decline. It's not worth protecting. This is what they want. You know, you get the government you deserve, and they're going to get the government they deserve. We are, and it's going to suck. And I'm still of the concrete belief that the United States will be on a terminal, slow decline. And there's not going to be a return to the glory days. We're going to have an ever-increasing government, slowly but surely. I don't care to waste my personal finite life defending that. I also have the one principle. It's like, do you want this type of government? This is what the people want? All right. That's freedom. You are allowed to have the shittiest government you want because you can't do basic economics and you think things should be for free. Fine. But I'm washing my hands of it, and I'm going to take maneuvers and positions in my own personal life. So there's that. That then brings about the purpose for it. You say, well, then you're against having a militia? No, absolutely not, because I like having militias on the right, because should the government truly get tyrannical, and we've started to notice this with some of the leftists just attacking people for having different opinions, it's good to have, especially in a post-apocalyptic world, in economic collapse, economic crisis, it's good. Matter of fact, it's not good. It's the only thing to have, is who has the guns. And not only who has the guns, who has the biggest number of people with guns, and who has the best trained, biggest number of people with the most amount of guns. That becomes the number one commodity. Who has the largest and best trained army? And so if the United States military goes away, government shuts down, whatever, kind of post-apocalyptic, or you're just getting assaulted by a group of leftist communist thugs, and you need to defend yourself, and the government's kind of like closing a blind eye to it, yeah, then you need safety in numbers. And so that's why I think having a militia, well-trained, organized, and armed, is good to have for a defensive purpose. That also is that's great on paper. That's wonderful on paper. Then it comes to practice, and this is where it just all falls apart. The vast majority of militias I've looked into are a bunch of old, out-of-shape, fine, patriotic, but that's all they have. They don't have anything else. It's like, I'm a patriot, and they just want to have their guns, and they want to play make-believe soldier. Minnesota had a militia, and it was like, call sec ops. I don't know what the military code was. And they're like, oh, people must report. And it's like this shitty-ass website. And I'm like, what the fuck is this? And you kind of see that with the 3% militia. Not this, oh, we're going to play make-believe soldier, but their website sucks. The video that comes up is gayer than fuck. And it leads me to believe that there's no real serious organization. Now, there's some training, and they got some videos, and they go out and they do stuff. But to be honest, I look at them, I'm like, that guy can't run, that guy can't run, that guy can't run. No one's in physical shape. It's not a real militia. The California State Militia, though, that seemed a little bit more professional, but I didn't see any training. Here's where our training is. Here's our contact people. Here's our organization and our infrastructure. Contact Bob if you happen to be in Oregon and would like to join the California State Militia, even though it's California, but if it's nationwide. Or, if you're in Fresno, contact Frank. Frank is our contact in Fresno. And we have training regulated. In other words, it's like the heart's in the right place, but there's no, it's like the Republican Party. The heart's in the right place, but there's no organization or leadership. Worse than that. And as much as I just slammed on people who want to play make-believe military people, or who are really serious about it, they're the vast, vast minority. At least they show up. At least they want to. At least they'll go down to Paulden and get training in Arizona. At least they themselves are personally trained. So I'll grant them that. But for all the talk, for all the Tea Party shit and all the Trump, and I'm like, oh my gosh, the U.S. is going into decline. Close friends of mine, people I like and respect, I'm like, hey, and this was more from a prepper standpoint, not let's form a militia standpoint. Because I read Jack Donovan's book, The Way of Men. And I'm like, shit, yeah, in a post-apocalyptic world, I can stockpile all the shit I want. If I don't have a team of good, trained people to protect what we have to have some kind of army, we have to have some kind of protection. That's the number one thing, is we need a gang of people, well-trained. And I said, okay, well, how about I get some of my best friends, like we all agree to meet like here, where there's water and there's plenty of place to hunt for deer, and we're going to protect this perimeter, and I could not get even some. I'd like, oh yeah, that's a great idea. But then when you can't even get them to show up to like a Republican meeting. And then you look at it and you realize, okay, this is all nice, but most people on the right are armchair slacktivists just like the left. They like to retweet and Twitter and do things on Facebook, and they think they're fighting socialism. Very few of them go get guns, go get training in how to use the fucking things. That's another key thing. Clean their guns, maintain it. Although my ex-military buddy, he doesn't claim I clean guns. He's like, right, it's a shitty job, Clary. Jesus Christ. I'm like, oh, fuck, I spent 2 hours on that damn thing. How is it not clean? He's a military guy. And then what else? But you just can't find enough people in a critical mass of numbers for 3%. You're not going to come anywhere near 3% of the U.S. population, male population, to go and do it. You're just not. So it's a great idea. I'd say it's absolutely necessary, but sadly, from what I've witnessed of the quality and caliber of just not leftist people in the United States, you know, okay, you can hate the left all you want, but at least they're organized. I mean, you got to tip your hat to Antifa. They get a little bit of organization going on there. They got a little bit of hustle and organization. But for all these people that, oh, we got to protect the country, the small percentage, very microscopic small percentage, actually maybe go and form a militia, form shitty ones. Right? That, I mean, it's better than nothing, but I'm not following Dale from fucking King of the Hill. That's kind of what it is. I was like, yeah, you're Dale from King of the Hill, and you're the Brigadier General of this fucking militia, eh? All right. Yes, sir. You get that, and that's your best. The rest of it is just lazy, fat, swipple, boring, no hustle. Jeez, I sure don't like those Democrat fellas. Look at those, what they're doing there. Oh my gosh. Like, hey, do you think you want to go run? I guess that's kind of like my first thing. Like, do you want to go run? I got to lose weight. Would you like to go running? I go running all the time. I'd love to have a running partner, even though, like, you do the small lake, I do the big lake. But then someday, you know, over time, over this summer, you'd lose weight, you'd run further and faster, and then we get in shape together, and I have a running buddy. And, dude, if you can't get people to go run a fucking mile, do you think you're going to get them to spend 2 weeks in, like, a carbine class? Or how to scope a rifle? Or how to clean a pistol? Or how to go survive? It's sad. So, from my perspective, this is again coming from the prepper standpoint, it's basically I'm a lone wolf. That's what I found, because I can't rely. No one's going to do it. No, and if anyone comes along, I'm like, fuck you, you're carrying shit. You're a goddamn porter. Go find some clean water, and if you get shot, I don't care. It's that bad. The quality and caliber of people on the non-left just aren't worth it forming a real militia. They're just not. I'd like to. I've looked into it, like, you know, okay, we actually have a command, like a real militia. Okay, there's whatever, a general in charge. Organize it by divisions and brigades and platoons and squads. And then, like, okay, we all meet here and we train. And we have Frank come in. He used to be a gunner in the military. He knows everything about these type of guns. We're going to learn how to clean and shoot and, you know, sight our rifles. But people are too debt-ridden, they're too lazy, they're too fat, and they're not scared enough yet. They just aren't. So that's kind of my opinion of the militia. It's great. It's something we should absolutely have a national militia. We should. But it's not even that there aren't leaders potentially. I know plenty of people that make great leaders, but you're not going to get have people unplug from Netflix, have people stop watching Last Man Standing, have people like, oh, hey, man, did you, I mean, make-believe watching the Negan show, I don't know, what is it, Walking Dead or Trilogy of the Dead or whatever. I mean, you can't pull these people away from that. You're not going to get on the train. You're just not. So, I would recommend, yeah, I mean, if also one were to pop up, cool. You know, I mean, and there's small little brigades like Jack Donovan's little brigade out there. There's small groups. But I'd find, if you can, find like your best military buddy who has survival training. and say, hey, you got a plan? Where are we gonna go to that farm? All right, I'm gonna bring all my guns and all my bullets, and I'll slave and toil in the fields if we just work together. That's probably your best outcome. But yeah, it's a nice, very idealistic theory on paper. It really is. But yeah, given the 3%ers videos and all that other stuff, and the militias I've seen online, I'm like, yeah, ding ding, here comes the shitmobile. All right, that's all we got. We'll see you kids later. Toodles.